High blood pressure, often known as hypertension, is a condition in which the blood pressure is higher than normal. Your blood pressure fluctuates throughout the day depending on what you do. Blood pressure readings that are regularly higher than normal can lead to a diagnosis of high blood pressure or hypertension. The higher your blood pressure, the greater your risk of developing additional health issues like heart disease, heart attack, and stroke. By comparing your systolic and diastolic blood pressure values to those specified in particular guidelines, your healthcare team can diagnose high blood pressure and make treatment decisions. Tips to control high blood pressure. Tip number 1. Reduce the amount of sodium in your diet. If you have high blood pressure, you should cut down on your sodium intake. Salt isn't the only source of sodium. It's also found in processed and canned foods. Before purchasing any food item, you must carefully read the product label. Every day, you must limit your sodium intake to 1500 milligrams. Chips, frozen seafood, mustard, ketchup, and pickles should all be avoided. Tip number 2. Caffeine should be avoided. Coffee has some health benefits, but one of them is decreasing blood pressure. Even in persons who do not have hypertension, caffeine can induce short-term blood pressure rises. If you have high blood pressure, you should limit your caffeine consumption to roughly 2 cups per day. Check your blood pressure before and half an hour after ingesting a caffeinated beverage to see if you're sensitive to caffeine's blood pressure raising effects. You may be caffeine sensitive if it rises by 5 or 10 points. Tip number 3. Reduce your intake of alcohol and sugar. If you want to avoid high blood pressure, you should limit your sugar and alcohol intake. This is due to the fact that sweets and alcohol tend to raise blood pressure. You should also avoid fizzy beverages and foods high in saturated and trans fats. These foods will aggravate your condition and damage your heart's arteries. Tip number 4. Use dairy products with low fat. If you have high blood pressure, you don't have to give up your favorite dairy products, but you should convert to fat-free or low-fat dairy products right away. Milk, yogurt, cottage cheese, and other low-fat cheeses must be consumed on a regular basis. Tip number 5. Reduce your weight. Dropping a few pounds has frequently been proven in studies to have a significant impact on blood pressure. Having too much weight on your body makes your heart work harder. This added stress can contribute to hypertension, whereas reducing weight reduces the demand on your cardiovascular system. Tip number 6. Make the change to a healthier oil. Every day, you should drink 2 to 3 teaspoons of a healthy oil such as olive oil. You can also eat low-fat margarine on a daily basis because it is high in omega-3 fatty acids, which are beneficial to your heart. These margarine spreads will aid in blood pressure reduction. Tip number 7. Yoga. Yoga is an excellent stress reliever. Yoga breathing techniques were found to lower blood pressure in hypertensive persons, probably due to their influence on the autonomic nerve system, which controls heart rate, digestion, and other mostly unconscious functions. Tip number 8. Nuts, seeds, and beans are beneficial to your health. Kidney beans, cannellini beans, almonds, natural peanut butter, and other seeds are all good alternatives for a heart-healthy diet that also helps to lower blood pressure. Nuts, seeds, and beans should be consumed at least 4 to 6 times per week. Tip number 9. Eat whole grains. Processed foods are one thing you must avoid if you want to keep your blood pressure under control. Instead, you must take entire grains at all times. Oatmeal, cereal, whole grain breads, and pasta are all healthy options. 8 ounces of these should be consumed every day. However, you must always check the nutritional label for sodium content before purchasing any item. Tip number 10. Avoid smoking. If you smoke, you're already contributing to a harmful increase in blood pressure of 10 mm Hg or more after each cigarette. And if you smoke regularly throughout the day, you're continually raising your blood pressure to dangerously high levels. Tip number 11. Take protein-rich food. Protein-rich foods must be consumed. Each day, you must consume roughly 6 ounces of protein or less. Instead of red meat, You can use chicken. Eggs or fish are the best sources of nutritious protein. Therefore, eat them on a daily basis. Tip number 12. Self-monitoring. If you've been diagnosed with high blood pressure, learning how to self-monitor your blood pressure at home is in your best interests. This is done by utilizing an upper arm blood pressure monitor to maintain track of your blood pressure between doctor appointments to ensure it stays within healthy ranges.